Most watches with the impressive perpetual calendar complication look complicated. It's almost as though the brand creating the watch wants to advertise the fact that they can make something sophisticated, something complicated. They want, and I think rightly so, some credit. It's why this one is so interesting. This is what I would call a minimalist perpetual calendar. At first glance, it looks like a standard three-hander, and then you notice the date. After a little more examination of the watch, you will notice this power reserve indicator, and you almost have to search to find the month indicator. And then after you locate that, it's that small hand under the hours, minutes, and seconds. It's not readily apparent what it is meant for. Once you realize that this watch is a perpetual calendar, I think it becomes more impressive. It's a complicated watch that looks like a simple one. It is a stealth high horology piece, and that is something that I like to see from time to time. The owner will know what a special piece it really is, but virtually nobody else will. So this is perfect for the watch collector who wants to wear a complicated watch but not attract any attention to it. Outside of maybe a couple crazy watch collectors who know exactly what a Streamliner looks like. Now, I'd like to shout out to Exquisite Timepieces. They are the Moser AD that made this video possible. They sent in this watch for me to feature. So if you are shopping any H Moser, please check them out. A link will be below. Now, for those of you who are coming across this complication for the first time, what is a perpetual calendar? How is it different from an annual calendar? And what makes this complication interesting? Well, in short, this is a watch that will mechanically account for the correct date every month, including leap years, so it will know what dates to advance from 28, 29, 30, or 31 all the way to 1. And once properly set, it will do this automatically without any input from you, the wearer. An annual calendar will accurately display the day and the month, but it does not take into account leap years like a perpetual calendar does. The date will need to be adjusted once a year at the end of February, hence the name an annual calendar. I've never owned a perpetual calendar. I have owned an annual calendar. I think they're both really amazing complications. They're impressive because there is so much going on. The fact that it is all actuated with gears, wheels, jewels is just incredible. There is no battery-powered computer circuit keeping track of things. It's all done essentially the same way it was first done in pocket watches from the late 18th century. So yes, technically my G-Shock can do all of this and more for a fraction of the cost, but there is really nothing truly impressive about that. Unlike a mechanical perpetual calendar with high levels of hand finish work and overall pleasing movement architecture like this one, I think that's impressive. It's mechanical engineering taken up to an art level. Now, both annual calendars and perpetual calendars are considered higher-end complications, and because of this complexity, they are found in more expensive timepieces, often cased in precious metal. Annual calendars are slightly simpler and hence a little bit more affordable, but even with those, expect to pay at the minimum $10,000 to $15,000, again, to start. Perpetual calendars usually start at least $20,000, but often over $30,000 and can go well north of that figure, hence a more limited market. Now, Patek Philippe is arguably the premier name in perpetual calendar watches. They were the first brand to bring to market a wristwatch with that complication, and they regularly make both annual and perpetual calendar watches. I think they are very highly regarded in the watch world. Other brands have since jumped into this sophisticated segment of the market, and that brings me back to this H. Moser Streamliner. So let's take a closer look at the detail work and what makes this one a worthy addition to the fairly small perpetual calendar market. Now, Moser is well known for executing minimal design-centric watches. The Streamliner is arguably their most original and well-known platform. It has a cushion case style, a retro vibe, and a very organic-looking integrated bracelet. This bracelet almost looks like the spine of I don't know, some sort of mammal or perhaps an armored shellfish exoskeleton. It's really quite interesting, and the light play is incredible. I think you have to see a Streamliner in person to fully appreciate how original and how well crafted this is. Now, on the dial, you will see a gray fume sunray execution. There is a ghosted logo below the 12 o'clock marker, a staggered racing index track, a retro racing index track with subtle use of the color red. The dial is domed, and it also has thin rhodium plated polished applied markers. The hands are long, they have very nice contrast with the dial below, and these loomed areas are crafted out of globalite, which is a blend of ceramic and loom. And that's how these end tips can cantilever out without the need of a metal surround like a traditional handset. I really like this large vintage TV-shaped date wheel over at this 4 o'clock position. This is placed here to strengthen the aesthetic of the crown, also placed at this hour designation. The date wheel is color matched to the dial, and then the indexing is fully loomed, and that's uncommon. You just don't see that detail very often. Now, the power reserve indicator is placed opposite of the date over at the 10 o'clock position, and this movement will have an incredible 168 hours of power reserve. One other aspect I want to mention, although this is a Swiss-made watch, Moser has not placed Swiss-made on the dial. I think they cared too much for aesthetic symmetry and design strength to want to put that on just for tradition's sake. Although I would have a bit of an ego if this was my brand, Moser is the type of company that puts ego aside, and they will ghost out their logo like this one. Or not place superfluous text on the dial just for the sake of true visual balance. Some of their other models don't have a logo, or they don't have any text on the dial, and this is something that I think not everyone appreciates, but I really do. Now, I'll flip it over and talk about the movement. Moser calls this the HMC 812. It is gorgeously finished with a dial matching anthracite coating in areas. It has many gold or gold tone elements. Note the traditional gold chatons that are set in these large movement plates. You don't see that often outside of A Lange und Sonne. This caliber has a free sprung balance, a full balance bridge, and a 14 karat gold escape wheel and pallet system. Note the sun-shaped leap year indicator. That's found near the center of the caliber. And again, Moser makes some subtle use of red for the year indication. I like the fact that this is placed in the movement as to not clutter the dial side. Again, Moser is thinking about the visual balance, the strength of the dial, the user experience, but probably the most impressive aspect of the movement is the fact that it is a bi-directional quickset, and you just don't see that on perpetual calendars. So to quote from Moser's website, quote, "The mechanism is absolutely brilliant. You can adjust the calendar without any risk whatsoever," close quote. Date setting can be a little tricky, especially on a complicated watch like a perpetual calendar, and there is usually a level of stress that owners will have in properly setting a perpetual calendar without advancing too far or somehow damaging the delicate movement. And I know some owners who won't set the time of their own perpetual calendar watches. They will take it to the AD to do for them. And this movement design eliminates that stress, and I think that's a very positive thing. So all things considered, I look at this, and I think Moser has crafted a very interesting minimalist perpetual calendar. I think it is subtly brilliant. Is it perfect? No. Is it meant for everybody? No. Does it have incredible value for money? I wouldn't say so. But then again, that really isn't the point of true high horology. It's an entirely different feeling segment of the market, one that places more emphasis on other aspects or other things. I think this has a lovely design. it's equally impressive when it comes to the fit and the finish. Bracelet lovers will really enjoy this Streamliner bracelet. I think it is one of the top 10 bracelets on the market. The movement is gorgeous. It's technically impressive. I think this watch will appeal to collectors who want something different, something off that beaten path, something that flies under the radar, something that won't attract attention. It is a stealth, high horological piece. The retail price is $54,900 and can be found in stock right now at Exquisite Timepieces. Again, I want to shout them out and thank them for making this video possible. This Streamliner Perpetual Calendar is a rare piece, so it really is quite a special opportunity just to be able to film it and to share it with you. Exquisite Timepieces is a family-owned brick-and-mortar Moser AD in Florida, and for anyone interested in the brand, definitely check them out. A link will be below. Lastly, if you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate if you could like it and subscribe to my channel. It very much helps me out. I'll move up in the YouTube algorithm and garner more exposure, be able to do this for longer, and hopefully continue to improve my content. So if you could help me out there, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.